welcome back to a brand new episode of Virtual Coffee. My name is Alexa Collier, and on this podcast, I chat with small business owners where we discuss their perspectives, their journeys, their stories, and I'll often do solo episodes as well where I just discuss what's been on my mind and share accelerators to help you in work and life. Now, with me today is Kristina, the founder and owner of Witchy Sisters Project. They sell unique handcrafted items ranging from clothing to bags to jewelry to candles and many more items. What I especially love about Witchy Sisters Project is that they partner with other artists to help spotlight and showcase their work and products. So very similar to the mission we have here on Virtual Coffee. Now, before we hear from Kristina, as always, I'd love if you could rate and review Virtual Coffee on the Apple Podcast app and on Spotify. It just really helps others discover us. You can also follow us along on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the social medias. It's all at Virtual Coffee Podcast. And over there, you'll see photos from my own personal life, as well as a lot of the hand drawings I do to showcase our awesome small business community that we have here. As always, thank you so much for tuning in and listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode with Kristina. Let's dive into it. Welcome, Kristina. Thank you so much for being on Virtual Coffee.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've been listening to your podcast and I'm so excited to be one of your guests.
Thank you so much for your support. Yeah, and happy to have you on. So let's kick things off like we usually do here on Virtual Coffee. Introduce us to your business, Witchy Sisters Project. Tell us a little bit about it, perhaps the mission. Just get us started.
Okay, great. Yeah, so Witchy Sisters Project is actually a newer name we're going to be relaunching. But before I get into any of that, it all began with I was always inspired by my favorite movies, which was, The Craft. My favorite movie is probably Practical Magic. And she had her own little shop, in that cute little town in the movie. And I just always thought, one day I'm going to have a witchy boutique and something of that sort. So, time goes on, not to ramble, but I have a background in jewelry making and also design and illustration. And some of my other jobs include that craft. And then, one day I was in the garage with my husband and we're drinking a couple beers, listening to some rock music, and Witchy Woman comes on the radio. And I'm like, oh man, I just love that vibe. I love rock and roll. I love that song. I just think every woman has that feeling of inner strength and inner power. And, so I went for it. It kind of started as Witchy Woman Boutique, and it has evolved into Witchy Sisters Project.
I just love hearing people's origin stories for their business, and love that it sounds like you're able to kind of combine a lot of skills you have and a lot of experiences you have from your background and create your own business and run your own business. So dive into the products that you sell, someone going to your website, what would they see? What's the vibe of your products? What can they purchase from you?
Yeah. So we are an online only boutique as of now. We have many good items. We like to focus mainly on handcrafted items made in the USA, high quality, unique finds, which include, jewelry, candles, books, gifts, crystals. And one of my favorite parts about the whole Witchy Sisters Project is that we feature artists every season. Sometimes it's a monthly artist and sometimes it's a seasonal artist. So we're getting ready to introduce our spring artist. And currently we have our February artist featured. You should check her out. She's fantastic. If it's, not February by the time we, post this. Yeah. So just magical goods. And the vibe is definitely very, I don't want to call it too witchy, but it also has that it's kind of boho witchy, if you will, it's laid back, it's comfortable, but it's very unique. And our goal is not to cast spells on ex-boyfriends, we just want to keep it kind of laid back. And yeah, witchy boho, I feel is maybe a good way to describe the vibe.
Nice. Yeah, I love that you have that theme and a very unique theme. I don't often see that theme in boutiques, and I love that you have that niche and are catering to an audience who I'm sure like loves that you have that theme, and finally there's a boutique for them and their interests and the style that they want. And I
Yes,
also
thank
love how
you.
you feature those artists every month. That's a really neat model. Tell me more about that. How do you get in touch with the artist? Is it just you find them on social media? How does that partnership kind of work?
So with most of our products, a lot of people ask me, "Do you make everything yourself?" And man, I wish
Mm-hmm.
I did. I mean, that would be really. I would like to say I think I can, but
Mm-hmm.
but what I like to do is, I do have relationships with all of my vendors and everything, with everything being handmade. So, our vendors, a lot of our vendors are local. There's some from across the states, like our candle gal. She's fantastic. She's from New Jersey. I really
Nice.
enjoy her. So, sometimes I'll pick a vendor out of the collections that we have and feature them,
Mm.
or I will reach out, or just somebody wants to collaborate, like, heck yeah, let's do it. So, in particular, our February artist, Jacqueline, we went to college together. We went to the Art Academy of Cincinnati, and we just kind of stayed connected here and there through social media. And then one day it just kind
Nice.
of, hey, do you want to be featured? And then some of them are just like good friends of mine, or anyone who's
Mm-hmm.
trying to get their name out there, or just some visibility. And I don't know, it's fun to showcase their work because all of their stuff is amazing. And I just, yeah, it's refreshing. It's ever changing, and we like that. So
Yeah, and I can really relate to that. I mean, my whole podcast, right, is dedicated to showcasing
yes.
small business owners and artists and just people who are following their passions. And that's exactly what you're doing, but you're taking, you're promoting their products and cultivating it into this really awesome, unique boutique. So I love that. I can totally
Yes.
get behind that that model and that mission.
Yes, I felt that connection with your podcast as well.
Yeah.
I just love it. It's so good. It's so good.
Awesome. For sure. I couldn't agree more. One just quick logistical question. Where are you able to ship your products? Is it international, just within the United States? Just so our audience knows.
I mean, we've been shipping worldwide. We've
Wow.
it's been wild. I really need to get a map and put little pins in, the locations,
Yeah.
but Australia, I've gotten orders from Australia, the UK, and a lot of Canadian orders, which is fun. I mean, yeah, just worldwide. We're able to do
Yeah.
it, so we're like, why not?
Congratulations on that. I know sometimes
Thanks.
that international shipping or shipping alone can be quite tricky. So congratulations on being
Yeah.
able to do
I
that.
Thank you. I'm also just like flattered by the amount people are willing to pay to, have
Right.
our products shipped to them. So that's very
Mhm.
humbling, and that's, it's very cool. So
Yeah. No,
happy to do
that's
that.
excellent. Yeah, for sure. And I'm always interested in how people navigated launching their business in the sense of, some people have the mindset of just take it one step at a time. I'll figure it out as I go along versus others perhaps are reading up on every process or, it just depends how you want to do it. And I'm curious from your perspective, how was launching the business? Like, was it just, I'm going to try this thing and it kind of took off and you went from there? Was it a very planned out business roadmap? Like, what approach did you take and why?
Well, to be honest, I Googled it.
Nice. Yep.
I, I just, well, anyway, yeah. So I had the idea in mind. I had the name picked out. I this, that, and
Okay.
the other. So I just kind of, I just dove in through the internet and was like, how do you start a boutique? And then I learned about, Shopify. I think there's the other one's called WordPress. There's different. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy the options there are these days for
Hmm.
e-commerce. So I went with Shopify. Yeah, so I kind of just did my research on the internet, and then it opened up some doors to, communities that I could connect with to follow and see how they did it. And, it was scary. So
Hmm.
I used social media, I used Facebook as an Instagram as a tool to help drive people to my website. I'm not going to lie, retail is hard. It's hard to
Hmm.
sell something online when they can't feel it or smell the candles in person. And so that was kind of tricky. And also it was COVID in the
Right.
midst of the COVID. But, it kind of worked out in a way because no one was going out and shopping at stores. So giving them that opportunity to purchase something and have it shipped right to their house through my website it kind of worked out, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And when things started to open back up, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do pop-up shop. This will be
Mm-hmm.
so great. I can't wait to interact with people because that's what I want this to be all about, a sisterhood or a community or, getting to. So,
Right.
yeah, so I've been doing the pop-up shops, obviously mostly in the summer where we're outside and we do, a little booth or we get to interact with our customers, which is kind of like, I don't know, I really enjoy that. But as far as like the dark side, if you will, the
Mhm.
business side, financially, just trying to keep your goals, your financial goals in mind and your
Mhm.
budget. And then this is a whole nother can of worms, but trying to obtain a trademark for your name.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to dive into that, but that was really scary. But we did it. We did it. But I guess overall, to answer your question, just trying to organically grow and staying true to your passion, but staying at a healthy pace in terms of scaling the business.
Mhm.
You don't want to. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to keep it as small as possible, like
Sure.
in a healthy way, if that makes sense.
Right.
Gosh.
Right. It's always very interesting to me because I feel like I say this on every episode, but it's always just amazes me how people like yourself, like you just try it and you just go for it and you just Google the next step and it just makes it, I know it's very hard to launch and run your own business, but also hearing these stories, it just makes it seem possible. Like it's not this
Yeah.
unrealistic thing that, only a handful of people in the world can do. Like you really can, if you have a passion and an idea, you can go for it. And
Yeah.
there's no guarantee it'll work out, but it is possible. And I just love hearing your story because it is possible. It doesn't
Yeah.
make it seem easy. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just more, it
Right.
makes it seem, wow, me as a normal person can also do this.
Right. Yeah. And I was, when we started, I was hesitant
Hmm.
and I was like, well, I'm just going to dive into it and see what it looks like. And you just kind of start, you start making an account here and then you make an account
Right.
here. It's just,
Yep.
and then you're like, you know what? I'm gonna do a page on Facebook and see if people dig it and want
Hmm.
to follow along. And it happened and people loved it. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's keep going with it. And
Yep.
even today, it's still the same. I still feel the same. It
Right.
still feels
Right.
like a baby to me. So
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I can relate to that as well with the podcast. I think
yeah,
the biggest difference in my head is always I don't need to or do put my own money into the podcast, right? I can just sit down, record, publish, and I
yeah,
keep going that way. Whereas when you
right.
launch a business, I know financials are a huge piece of that. Any particular advice around that? Like,
Yeah.
was that terrifying? Did you just have to take the leap? How'd you kind of navigate the financials of it?
So what's interesting is I'm not going to dive too much into this, but I have a
Yeah.
design company and my design company, like you said, I have no overhead. It's just, me and my computer and design work, it's
Yeah.
digital
Yeah.
files. And so, I had like a little cushion to be able to get my first batch of inventory for the boutique.
Hmm.
And I'm still learning how to do that, making sure that everything is within a budget. If I had to give advice to anybody, it would just to be like, it's fun, like use your creative side and do what you can, but you have to you have to watch your numbers, go on a date with your money, like uh
Yeah.
every like maybe once a week, like even if you have to go get a glass of wine and bring your computer and just look at your money, like look at your account, look at your analytics, see what's working, see what's not working. This is just like the business side of it, and just try to pay attention to that. Like even if it's just look at it, even if you're not even gonna,
Hmm.
you don't have to get out your calculator, but just look at it. If making that a habit, I think is really important. Just on the other side, it's hard to, some people can hire people out for that.
Hmm.
I'm not there yet. I'm not big enough to hire anybody yet, which, hopefully one day I can, but I kind of enjoy both sides of that business though. I like the creative side, but I do kind of like the numbers too. So I'm able to use both sides of my brain, and I don't know, I guess I enjoy that personally. I know a lot of
Right.
people don't, but yeah, so just go on a date with with your numbers, honestly, and bigger is not better. Better is better. So I've learned that in terms of buying inventory, if it's a dead month, if you will, and I feel like I'm not getting a lot of sales, I don't need to buy more inventory. I just need to refresh what I have, maybe
Mm.
stylize it in a different way or take a picture of it in another light. You got to be creative with what you have sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes any
Yep.
sense. And another piece of advice is to use your resources, connect with your community, collaborate, like we are.
Hmm.
Collaborate, and collaboration is very important for me. And then probably my biggest piece of advice is to make sure that you find a name that you love, but also make sure the handles are available on social media, because it can be heartbreaking if you put your heart and soul into a name and you get, business cards made, stickers made, whatever, and you find out that somebody else has that name, or especially for trademark, if somebody has that name, you got to kind of start all over again. So
Yeah.
I would
Yep.
definitely, that's the ugly side of it, but I don't know. It is what it is, so.
Yeah. No, I think all great pieces of advice in there. Going back to the financials, I do appreciate you mentioning, kind of having that start with the financials, that cushion, or whether that's from your current job, the job you're about to quit, or just a side job, just kind of having that initial fund to start from, and then going from there, and then hopefully the business builds upon itself. So I
Yes.
think that's a really important perspective there. And then, yeah, of course, just keeping an eye on those financials. Couldn't agree more. And if you as the owner don't love that side, can you partner with someone? Do you have, like you're saying, lean on your
Right.
community, family, friends, like someone to help you with that?
Right.
And then, yeah, love the specific piece of advice to look for the handles. I don't think anyone has said that before, and that
Yeah.
is very, very true, because I've seen
Mhm.
people have to do, the name underscore, add the little
Right.
extra characters to get the name. So really great pieces of advice there. I like all
Oh, thank
those.
you. Cool. Thank
Awesome.
you.
And where are you hoping to take Witchy Sisters Project? I know you mentioned kind of a rebrand. We can dive into that. Let's just talk about the future of the business and share any milestones or goals that you want to share.
Yeah, so, it's kind of a fantasy of mine to have a storefront, going
Hmm.
back to what inspired the boutique in the first place, which was, the cute little boutique in the movies, or, the funky little shop that you just stumble upon, but I've been seeing these mobile boutiques, which I think might be something I can wrap my mind around, So
Hmm.
eventually, keeping my store online, but maybe getting out a little bit more, just besides the pop-up shops at events. I would just love to, I don't know. It's kind of a fantasy to have a storefront, if you will.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's kind of a goal. And I guess I don't know. This is kind of crazy, but I would love to start a foundation just to be able to give back. That's kind of like something that motivates me is, well, I guess so. Every Christmas, we've only been around for like 2 years, but so far, every Christmas, we've adopted a family and
Mm.
given percentage of sales to them, or just kind of help out where we can. I think giving back is very important. So if I have the means to do it one day, I would love to start a foundation. I'm not sure what, how, or who or when, but yeah, I would love to start a foundation somehow,
Yeah.
someday, somewhere. So that's just kind of out there, but it's in there. I'm
Hmm.
keeping that in mind. So
Yeah, I love those goals, and that would be so cool to launch a foundation. Yeah, I love that, giving back and doing it through your brand and continuing to follow that passion. That's neat.
yeah,
I can't wait to see that happen one day and keep following your journey. That's awesome. That's a great idea.
thank you.
So with running a business, having a family, friends, other hobbies, how do you do it? Which is a very, very big question. I always try to ask, how do you find that balance? But I hate using the word balance. I haven't
Yeah,
found
me too.
a better phrase yet. If you have one,
Yes.
let me know. But just any tips maybe for others who have families or just, I mean, really anyone launching a business has other things going on. So this really applies to anyone and really applies to anyone, even with a corporate 9 to 5 job. Just
Right.
how do you not get sucked into the business 24/7?
Yeah, balance is a really weird word, so we'll just
Mm-hmm.
avoid that.
Yep.
No, I'm
I
not. It's
agree.
because yeah. So for me, so I have my design business, I have the boutique, and I have my husband, and I have a 3.5-old daughter and a 7-month-old son.
Wow.
And my goal is to turn it off in the evenings.
Okay.
So, during the day, I do a lot of time blocking. And of course, I work from home. So self discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I just really, time blocking is huge for me. So I give myself a set of hours to focus on this. I give myself a set of hours to focus on that. At the end of the day, I'll work on packaging. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if I'm feeling really froggy in the morning, I'll give myself a window to create post for social media for the boutique. But at the end of the day, like, family is first, and I turn it off in the evenings and spend my time with. It's also a great time for me to just recharge in general. So turning it off at night is really important to me.
Yeah, I completely agree with the time blocking. I think that's a huge tip and trick, like best practice. Just to
Yeah.
be okay, I have an hour to just focus on this task, and then after that, I can, go attend to XYZ, which I'm sure time blocking gets tricky with, potential disruptions from your young children right now. But
Yes, it
I
is.
do not have that right now. So
Yeah.
I can stick to my time blocks, but I can imagine the distractions there. But
Yeah.
yeah, just time blocking as best as you can. And to your point,
Right.
the way that it works for best for you and your family is saying, okay, evenings are for us. Evenings are for me.
Right.
It's not for the business. And just kind of setting those expectations with yourself, I think, is really what it is.
Right. Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not great at it, but I'm trying.
Sure. Yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah.
it's always a
Yeah.
work in progress. So,
Yep. Yeah. I don't think
yeah.
anyone is great at it. And if people say they are, I think they're lying. I don't think anyone can be
Me
perfect
too.
at it.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It's
that's too
it's
funny.
just tricky.
It is.
Well,
It's very tricky. It takes creativity, honestly. Like, you have
mhm.
to be, I mean, it's kind of like it's extreme multitasking. You have to be able to let
Yep.
your mind go into that place and then just turn it off and go into another one. And
Yep.
it's hard work, but it pays off
Yeah.
for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
for sure, definitely. Yeah, and it's interesting too how it changes, your strategy for like time management, if you will, is almost
Hmm.
can change day to day because it really depends what you have going on in your life. Like not only those bigger life accomplishments or goals like having children or getting married or having a house, like all those different big life phases we have, but then also day to day, like do you have your parents visiting and there's people in the house, like
Right.
what, like it can just change so much day to day. And
Right.
I'm just thinking now that's one of the reasons it's so tricky to have a set strategy for time management because you really
Yeah.
can't.
Right. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the family keeps me in check, and that's,
Yeah.
it means a lot to me. So they
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
really love me.
Yeah. No, that is great. That's
Uh,
awesome. Awesome. Well, Christina, before I dive into my last question, is there anything else top of mind that you wanted to dig into or share with our audience? Any other pieces of advice or just anything else top of mind that, I want to make sure I don't miss?
Gosh, I don't know. I feel pretty good about all of it.
Awesome.
If there's anybody out there who wants to be featured on our website, we're
Yes.
always, I know there's a lot of creative people out there who are looking for an outlet. So, I always like to offer that up. I don't know, just to see if there's any possible collaboration or, just for fun, just to see.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, and if anyone out there ears perked out, please reach out to Kristina.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, my last question that I end every episode with is, in this moment, what is your proudest accomplishment? And it can be business related or on a topic that we didn't even mention today. Just kind of that first thing that pops into your mind of your proudest accomplishment so far.
Well, I have to say my family because
Hmm.
finding, honestly, just to be raw, like finding love is
Hmm.
amazing. Like being able to have that with my husband and getting married and, having two children, it's the biggest gift. I just am so blessed. So that is definitely a huge accomplishment for me.
Yeah.
um, I love them all dearly. And then, kind of just honestly, on the business side of things, I love running a business. I don't know, I'm learning so much every day. It's always, there's kind of no end in sight. Like it's just an
Hmm.
ever changing journey. So having the ability to use that and that be kind of my career right now. And with the design business and the boutique, sometimes they're able to work hand in hand, which I really, really love. It helps a lot to be able to do that. So yeah, so I guess being able to juggle both businesses, which are both my passions, and
Hmm.
having all of that is, again, very humbling, and I'm so grateful for all of it.
Congratulations on everything you've accomplished so far, both with the business and in your personal life. And if you ever, I know this episode was focused on Witchy Sisters Project, but if you ever want to come back on and discuss your design business, I'd be happy to have you back on. Just let me know, and
Yeah,
we can dive into
I'd
that
love,
side of things as well.
I would love that. Yeah, it's a lot
Awesome.
of fun.
No, we'll get that scheduled in the next few months. But yeah, excellent. Before we sign off, where can people find you and Witchy Sisters Project, social medias, website, shout everything out?
Sure. So on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, which, I'm still kind of getting acquainted with, it's at Witchy Sisters Project. And then, my website is www.witchysistersproject.com. And that's our online boutique.
Perfect. Well, I hope everyone checks out you, Kristina, and Witchy Sisters Project. And thank you so much for being on Virtual Coffee today. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I had fun.